do we hate the Seahawks? Why don't we talk about the Seahawks? When we talk about the Seahawks,
fucking hate the Seahawks.
It's always a loss. Gentlemen and lady, do we hate the Seahawks?
No.
Do we despise the Seahawks?
Steve loves the
Steve loves the Seahawks.
Yeah,
that's why we took him out, because he loves the Seahawks. No, I mean, these are real themes in the comments.
26-7 over the Rams, and they don't seem that interesting. They're so good. I don't know how we're editing this thing, but I've said for 6 weeks.
We cut out everything you say.
I think the Seahawks are going to win 2 games by more than a touchdown at home and go to the Super Bowl, and I think it's not going to be that interesting.
Is it just that they're boring because they just continue to win? And
I don't think they're boring, though. I mean, no,
that's the problem. Discussing them is boring. There was no like, oh, did you see that fake punt? Oh, the last minute. There's no last minute inning because they kicked their ass in the second quarter and the game was already done.
Yeah.
Right. So Seattle is so dominant that they become boring to talk about. Like, okay, what are we going to talk about with this 26-7 Rams game?
I saw the Seahawks game yesterday. They put the 12th man flag up. And
that was cool.
Somebody tweeted out that's for Rodgers, right? The 12.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah. No, that was good.
Look, I still think the Seahawks can be beat, but
by the Niners.
By the Niners, or like here's the scenario: the Saints beat the Eagles somehow, which is Drew Brees plays out of his mind for a couple of games, right? And the Saints go to Seattle, and Brees is Brees, and somehow they win, right? That's possible. But all those things are the more unlikely scenario, right? Seahawks crushing everything in their path and going to the Super Bowl was the more likely scenario. For whatever reason, my gut is saying that's not going to happen. But if anybody says, no, Cenk, you're wrong, like Ben is saying they're going to win easy, I think that's a very sensible thing to say.
I think they're most likely to. I think they can be beaten by the winner of that 4-5 game, by the Eagles, possibly. The Eagles' offense looks fantastic.
The Seahawks can potentially be beat by the Eagles?
Sure, of course.
The Eagles can beat them. The 49ers can beat them.
Everybody there can beat them. And the Packers can beat them.
At home?
And the Packers can beat them.
They all can. These teams are all good.
Great.
They're all good.
It's not taking anything away from Seattle.
Yeah, they're all good.
Any given Sunday, those teams are good enough to beat Seattle.
Yeah, but everybody. I think the Panthers can beat them with the running attack, if possible. So, we're talking about 6 teams in the NFC. They're good. The Panthers, to us, might be the worst team in the NFC playoffs, and they're good.
I don't think they're the worst.
They're the second seed.
Yeah, but but the Eagles are good, and the Eagles can score a ton of points. Anybody. That's why I think the Seahawks are going to go to the Super Bowl, because I think that home field advantage is tremendous.
Well, and they have the #1 ranked defense in the league.
Yeah, and they have a great defense, and they run the ball, and they run the ball effectively, and they're healthy. I just think that means they're probably going to go to the Super Bowl.
Someone did go out yesterday, though, that was, I forget, of that Seahawks game, on that Seahawks team. Who was it that got injured and left and probably isn't coming back?
Nobody was paying attention to that game because it was over in the first quarter.
Did you see how it was consistent? It was amazing. Let's talk about the Seahawks game. So the Rams had like 5 4th and 11s, and then they punted.
Yeah, wow.
That was tremendous.
By the way, they could play Green Bay, New Orleans, or San Francisco in 2 weeks. The last 2 seasons combined, the combined record against those teams. Anyone want to have a go? 4-0 against those teams.
The Seahawks and the Eagles, that's the 4. That's the.
So if the Saints win, they go play the #1 seed because they're the 6th seed.
So the Saints-Eagles is the 3-6 game.
Yeah, it's a 3-6 game. Oh. If the Eagles win, then San Francisco, winner of the San Francisco game, goes to play the Seahawks.
So when the Saints went to Seattle on that Monday night game, didn't you see something there different than in one team just beating another team? Like, it looked to me like if Drew Brees, and this might be it, because I don't think his hands get cold. He played at Purdue. He's played when it was cold. Something about not being able. No, what is it that makes him bad on the road? And I think it might be the inability to communicate with his team. Like, that may be the big thing, that he can't get the signals across, that their timing is slightly off, and at that high level when your timing is off. And nowhere is that more dramatic than in Seattle, where you can't hear anything. That game looked to me like a game that the Saints aren't winning there if they go again. Like, I feel more likely that despite Kaepernick looking terrible against Seattle twice, that he could go there. The Saints, I feel like in Seattle, and of course the Saints lost to Seattle in the Marshawn Lynch run when the Saints were good and the Seahawks had no business being in the playoffs.
Yep.
Let me throw out a crazy conspiracy theory based on what you just said. I wonder if he uses the Jumbotron at home and relies on it a little bit. right? Like, because not always, but you see Drew Brees looking up at the Jumbotron from time to time in the middle of a play, right? If he doesn't have that in the away game, if it's a crutch that he badly misses.
Is he looking at the Jumbotron?
Never thought about that.
I don't know. Is that?
Yeah, he does that from time to time. You'll see him catch him. His receivers, because he's short. Remember, that's his main handicap. He can't see above the offensive line. He often has to jump to throw, right?
Wait.
So he looks up at the Jumbotron to see his receivers. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. Really?
No way.
Yes.
So that would be why they're so shitty on the road?
That might be why they're so bad on the road, because he can't do the same thing.
Well, you should clearly just turn around and look at the Jumbotron behind
I don't think Drew Brees in the middle of a play looks at the Jumbotron.
Yeah,
I know, it sounds crazy.
That's insane.
No, I grant you that it sounds crazy.
How would he see?
But no, I've seen it. I've seen them, the announcers say, "Oh, look at Drew Brees. Look at the Jumbotron in the middle of the play."
But like, I mean,
That seems
the Jumbotron
crazy.
it's not going to show Marcus Colston on the Jumbotron, like running downfield.
Yeah, I know. It sounds crazy. I don't know.
All right.
Feel free to ignore it. Just keep an eye on it.
Keep it in the back of your mind.